Hi, everyone. It's after lunch and your bellies are full. I'm going to wake you up. I'm going to keep you happy. All right. I'm very excited to be talking to you today about happiness. Who needs more happiness in your life? Yeah, yes. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about it in relation to digital media. So I kind of have an interesting background, which is I started my career working in marketing. I got my undergraduate degree in marketing, and then I decided I wanted to help people for a living. Crazy me, I don't know what I was thinking. And so then I got my master's degree in counseling, and I worked as a career counselor for many, many years. And I was the director of career services at MIT. And then I went on to study social media and marketing. I was one of the first in the country to teach social media marketing at Northeastern University many, many years ago. And we didn't even have books about this, so I kind of had to figure it out. And it's been a wild ride because social media and digital media has changed so very much from the early days. And I was so excited about digital media and marketing and social media when I first started teaching. And at that time, it was actually pretty easy. It was pretty easy. You put a post up, people saw it. It was very easy, very organic. You didn't have to pay for marketing. And now, fast forward to where we are today. And it's very hard. And it's changing all the time. And in order for me to really understand digital media and social media, I really have to use it myself. And I teach at Florida International University. Is anyone an FIU grad in here? Yay, FIU, go Panthers, all right? So hopefully, maybe some of you had me. I met one student who had me before. I teach in the undergraduate program, but I also teach in the master's in marketing program at FIU. I love teaching, I love what I do. And the cool thing is I actually get to every day learn about social media and technology, and I am never bored. No semester is ever the same because literally while we're sitting here right now in this room, something has changed that I don't know about with social media marketing, guaranteed. Whether it's an algorithm or something in the news. So the one thing about our field, right, is that we have to stay on top of things. And at the same time, uh, it's very hard. So I asked you guys this, who wants to be happier? And I think everyone in this room wants to be happier. The cool thing is you're in this awesome city, Miami. I love this place. It's very sunny. We've got the beach. Have you guys all been to Miami Beach? People who are not from here. If you haven't, make sure you do, okay? And it's just a really beautiful city. So when we look at the numbers since the pandemic, people have not been happy, right? 45% of people said they have not felt true happiness for the last 2 years. This was right after the pandemic had happened. So we're in this very strange place. And I teach this topic that I've been teaching for years. And one of the challenges that I had was, oh my gosh, I teach this topic and I think it might be destroying the world. Maybe I need a new career. What am I going to teach, right? And so I really had to reframe digital media and thinking about how do we do digital media in a positive way. In addition to how do we do media in a positive way, how can we really understand our customers, right? And if everyone wants to be happier, our role as digital marketers, right, is to figure out how to make people happier. Because if they're happier, they're going to want to view our content. So when we think about digital media marketing, 88% of people are looking to laugh and to smile. 78% are willing to pay a premium for true happiness. And 78% believe that brands can do more to make their customers happier. And 91% of people prefer brands to be funny. Is your brand funny? Do you use humor? Of course, some industries, it's harder to do that than in others. But thinking about that when we're creating our content is so very important. So, TikTok. Who's on TikTok? You guys on TikTok? All right. So during the pandemic, we were all sitting at home, right? We're like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like, why am I at home? And I haven't seen people forever. And we get on our phones, we're like, oh, there's this cool thing called TikTok. It's super fun. So this is what was happening on TikTok. So people were doing fun things, right? Millions and millions and millions of views, okay? Why are we watching this? Why? Anyone? It's funny, it's humorous. We were really stressed out and anxious, right? And people wanted a little bit of fun and humor and delight. And the cool thing about TikTok, right, you can take one of these sounds and just duplicate it and do your own version of it. So this went viral and everyone was doing this in their homes. So over time, social media has changed, and we can see the amazing thing with TikTok and videos right now is that TikTok has grown faster than any social media site so far that I've seen grow. Just like overnight, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Facebook realizes this. So what does that mean for all of your content and your content marketing? And you probably know this as digital marketers, is that video is so critically important. And you're going to get more views with videos, and I'm talking vertical videos, whether it's Instagram Reels or it's TikTok or Facebook Reels now. You're going to get more views on these channels. You guys have probably seen this than anything else. So we have to change our mindset. We have to really think about the content that we're creating. And instead of just taking photographs, right, when we're at different events and having our clients take photographs, we have to really encourage them to take video. Video is so important. So, but just not any video, right? Video that creates emotions and engagement. So social media has increased 61% since the pandemic. 61%. If you didn't think we could be on our phones anymore, we are, okay? So that's good news for all of you in this room who are doing digital media, because that's where people are at. But the hard part is you have a lot of competition and people's brains are full. Their phones are full with information. So how are you going to really break through that? How are you going to break through that? So one of the things I want to talk about is happiness. So when you see this guy, he could be your employee, okay, working for you. He could be one of your customers. But who is he? And what actually makes him happy? We see the water. Maybe he cares a lot about the ocean. Maybe sustainability is important to him. Maybe plastic pollution is important to him. We really need to understand our customers and what's important and figure out how to drive happiness in their life. And one of the ways of doing that is figuring out what makes things meaningful for you and for your customers, for your employees. So what's happening right now? We have the great attrition, right? People are leaving their jobs left and right. And so it's really important that we change that to the great attraction within our organizations. And so when we talk about digital media, we often think about our customers, but I truly believe you can't really create a social organization unless you're doing it within your cultures yourself. And so creating a happy environment at work is going to be critically important, because that's going to resonate in the work that you're doing. And it's also going to resonate with your clients, and really thinking about how can we create more happiness. So what employees want, they want a sense of belonging. They want work-life balance. They want flexible work schedules. They want potential for advancement. They want to feel engaged at work, and they want to be valued by their organization, and have caring teams. you guys probably realize this, but how much focus are we really putting on that within our organizations? And if we're not doing that, how could we be doing that better? One of the things that really struck me during the pandemic is the traffic here in Miami is really terrible. I don't know where you're from, but if you're from Miami, you know that, all right? And during the pandemic, there was no one on the roads. It was so beautiful, right? And then we're all rushing in again at 9 a.m. to get somewhere. And the traffic is horrible again. Why do we all go to the same place at 9 a.m.? Could we go stagger the time? Like, how can cities develop a system that works better so that we're not in this craziness all the time, right? And so employees want to have flexibility. And how do we give them that flexibility so that we're working smarter and we're not just spending our time in the car? So globally, to gain happiness, people are prioritizing these things: health, personal connections, and experiences. So think about this when you're thinking about your employees, but also think about this when you're thinking about your customers. If this is what's important, are we giving them the content that they really want on social media? Are my employees actually getting this in their work? So digital media and happiness. So there's a lot of research about why digital media makes people unhappy, right? Addiction, bullying. We see a lot of negativity in the news about social media all the time. I often get contacted by the media to speak, and almost always it's a negative story about something that happened on social media. And I always tell them, guys, when you have a happiness story, I'm there. Why don't you contact me for those? Hasn't happened yet, all right? But I am hoping that in the future, maybe someone will get me to talk about happiness in social media. And so the research actually does show, yes, social media can make you unhappy, but at the same time, it does have a lot of value, and happiness is possible with social media. There's research that supports that as well. It really is about balance. So what are some ways that social media makes us happy? Obviously, education, learning from one another, social connections. If you live somewhere that's far from your family, your friends, I've had the opportunity to live in many different places, and I have friends globally, and I get to share my experiences in my day in life with everyone. And some people I haven't seen in years, maybe even 15 years, right? But we are still able to connect with them. And during the pandemic, we felt connected to people using social media in a new way, right? So being able to find groups, building social capital for creativity, relationships, this is all important for happiness. So getting likes from social media obviously makes us happy. Everyone has a voice. You can create movements, whatever it is you care about, you can talk about it on social media. You can create those happy moments on social media. You can share them. And so digital media really does have the opportunity to create happiness. So I like to kind of refer to digital media as like junk food, right? So yeah, we would like to have hamburgers and candy, and I don't know what is your favorite thing to eat that you shouldn't be eating? Anyone? Donuts. What else? Pizza. More pizza. Anyone else? Got a favorite food that you try not to eat too much of? Oops, I'm sorry, my thing was off. So, but we know we can't have that all the time, right? And so with social media, we have to do the same thing. We have to think about, what is that algorithm feeding into us? Are we following channels on Instagram that are about causes that we care about, whether it's sustainability, or maybe it's about voting rights, maybe it's about something health and wellness, whatever it is that you're really passionate about, right? Following more of that. So making sure you're getting the good food, whether it's, making sure you're having your fruits and your vegetables and all of that. We're all in control of our algorithm and what information is being fed into us. And so making sure that your algorithm is giving you what you want to see is critically important for our happiness. Everyone in this room needs to think about that. So well-being and digital media use. So I want to talk to you guys. I'm going to bring you guys into psychology and counseling for a minute, which is what my master's degree is in, and thinking about positive psychology. And habits of thinking need not be forever. Individuals choose the way they think, okay? Well-being cannot exist just in your own head. Well-being is a combination of being good as well as actually having meaning, good relationships, and accomplishment. Martin Seligman is actually the researcher at the University of Penn who's done a great deal of research on what actually makes people happy. So you mean, oh, whatever, we're not all happy, right? Well, it is true. We're not all going to be equally happy as one of another. So biology says that we have maybe like 50% of what we have for happiness in us is based on serotonin in our brains and what we're born with, right? We can't really change that. But life circumstances can make up a part of that. But the thing that you have control over is the intentional activities that you do day in and day out with your customers, at work, with your employees, and thinking about how you're actually creating happiness in your work and in your life. So, happy people. Why do we need to be happier? People who are happier make more money, they live longer, they have better relationships, they are doing better in life in general. So people are more successful when they're happier. Your clients are going to be more successful when they're happier. Your customers are going to buy more if they're happier. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the PERMA model, and then how does that relate to digital marketing? So the PERMA model, the first important piece of happiness, right, is positive emotion. So positive emotion means that you look at the information that's around you and you create positive experiences from that, okay? So people are who are experiencing positive emotions and who think more positively are going to experience more happiness. So when you're creating social media content, how can you create more positive experiences for your customers? So when we think about emotions, we know that the emotion that goes viral the most is what? Anyone? Anger. Who said anger? Anger. Anger is the thing that makes things go viral the most. But obviously, we don't want our customers to be angry. Okay. So, what's the second? Joy. Okay. So, if we can put more joy out there in the world, you're going to get more likes. You're going to get more. You're going to get more comments. You're going to get more engagement. So, creating that in positive emotion is important. All right. So let's practice for a second. I want you guys all to think about something positive that happened today. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, something small. What is one thing that happened today that was positive? One positive thing. Who said coffee? That's always mine. It's my best part of the morning. Wake up, have my cup of coffee, and I'm like, this is a good day already. Right? That's awesome. What else? You woke up. It's a basic start to the day right there. That's awesome. What else? Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So giving a compliment to someone else. Do we do that enough? Right? Just a simple compliment, right? What else? Yeah.
I spoke to a friend that I haven't spoken to in years.
Yeah. So people, right? And so that's the piece that we often forget a lot with social media is the people component. Social media, the most important word there is social. It's the most important thing, right? And it's really powerful when we can have an event like this where we are taking in-person connections and really being able to build those and create online digital connections as well. so you can continue to follow each other's journey, as well as anyone who's joining us digitally, being able to connect with us here digitally, and then maybe in the future we actually get to meet in person at some point. So, anyone else have another one? Yeah. Coming here today, being at this amazing conference, right? Getting a chance to meet other people in your field and share ideas and to hear the speakers. So this is great. So wonderful, guys. So that's positive emotions, right? The next piece is engagement. Engagement isn't what you would normally think when we use the word engagement in social media. Engagement in this case is actually the flow, okay? When you're at work or you're doing an activity and you get into the flow of things, okay? When you shut the whole world out and the only thing that's happening right now is the activity that you're doing at that moment. That makes us happier. For example, does anyone play an instrument? Anyone play music? Yeah? What do you guys play? Piano? Do you feel that flow when you're playing? Like you get into a whole different mindset, right? You're in a different zone. What are some other things that you do? Maybe running? Who's a runner in here? Yoga. Okay. So maybe sports? Dancing. Okay. Anything else you guys are thinking of? Could even be your work. I know I get into a flow when I'm creating a presentation or when I'm doing anything with my work, I get into this zone. I actually have to work around people, which is very weird. Like I have to go to Starbucks and have a lot of noise around me. And then I can get into the zone really well. But then I don't notice anything that's going around me. So I have no idea why I need to be with people because I'm in the zone. So the pandemic was hard. I couldn't go sit somewhere. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to be at home and I don't know how to do this. So that's how I finished my dissertation. I sat there and a lot. So the flow, right? So if you guys can think about moments when you're in the flow, but also your customers too, like what activities allow them to experience that. And then positive relationships. We just talked about that a bit, which is the social piece of social media. So the more we're connected to other people, whether it's online or in person, the more positive we are going to feel and the happier we are going to feel. And then the final piece is the meaning, okay? The meaning. If we don't have meaning in our life and we don't have a purpose, then we can't be happier. And I think that during the pandemic, many of us were thinking, like, why are we here? What is our purpose in life? Could I be doing more? Like, at least this is what was going on in my head. Like, because we had too much time to think, right? So we're sitting home at home wondering all this stuff. But the good thing out of that is I think that corporations as well as organizations have really started to think about how can we create meaning in our employees' lives as well as in our customers' lives? And how can we do things together to make a difference in the world? The world has a lot of really big problems in it. And how can we come together and do good things together? So we know that anytime you give back in some sort of way to your community, to your world, to your neighbor, anytime you lend a helping hand, it makes people happier. It makes people happier. So I live here in Florida, and one of the things that I've noticed since I've been living here is we have a lot of issues with global warming, in particular because our tides are rising, right? We're right on the water. Florida is very flat, as you all know, right? And so we're going to be the first to go under if we do, right? And now flooding's happening more and more in our streets. Some of my students couldn't come to class because there was so much water in the streets. Fires that are happening at a greater rate than ever before. And also, there's a lot of plastic pollution and different issues. So for me, I really want to think about how can we help the environment? So for me, the environment is very important, very, very important. How do we create meaning in our digital strategy? So for me, when I'm posting on my own personal accounts, I'm doing a lot of work with the environment and helping the environment and sustainability. So I also moved during the pandemic. I was living here in Miami, and I decided I was going to move to Naples because I wanted to be closer to nature. And it's the coolest thing is that there's actually a Facebook group in my neighborhood where they have night cameras and they take pictures of wildlife. And this panther, I did not take this, but someone in the group took it. Took a picture of one of the panthers. There are bears and panthers and all this cool stuff. So people come together in this Facebook group and this community to actually showcase different wildlife that are in the community and talking about how to protect it better, how to manage the bears that are in our neighborhood. And it's been a really cool experience. One of the most underutilized tools with social media really is Facebook groups, because Facebook groups create communities, right? And so I feel like when Facebook groups were first started, like people didn't really understand the value of them, and then they kind of weren't really pushed for a while. But now again, businesses are using them a lot. It's one thing to have a Facebook page, but it's another thing to have a Facebook group where you can actually create a community of like-minded people around a topic of interest or a cause or something with meaning, and then use that to help market better whatever it is that you're trying to sell. So the last piece is accomplishment. So helping to making sure that you're achieving something, right? Your goals. When you set goals and you meet them, that can be great. When you give your customers goals and they can get a prize, and you create this gaming, maybe create some sort of gaming tool with them, any sort of accomplishment, right? And they get a badge. People love badges. Badges are like a thing now, right? Put a badge on something and it's like you earned something. So if you can use badges and that can actually help to create more happiness as well as showing credentialing at the same time. So this is PERMA. So when you guys are thinking about your framework in creating a social organization, so what do I mean by a social organization? Is that both you're using social media for your clients, for your customers, but also that you're showcasing these happy moments and your purpose within your organizations, and that people are really trying to showcase positivity with what's happening. And if you can create a happier environment at work, people are going to be happier around you, right? So for me, with accomplishment, this is my baby, which is now, she's actually 3 now. She just turned 3. And I went to Maine. I'm originally from the state of Maine. One of the reasons that the environment and nature is so important to me. And I backpacked with her up mountains, which was very hard because I live in very flat Florida. So it took me a little while to do this, but I eventually got back into shape after having a baby and had an opportunity to really showcase nature with her, but at the same time to reach my own goals, which was to lose weight, to get back in shape again. And while I was really showcasing to her like the value of nature, she started hiking when she was 6 months old. So I hope that imprinted something in her brain. I don't know. We're going back next week. I don't know if she's going to remember. I feel like maybe she'll just like feel the presence of trees or something. I don't know. So we're going to be experiencing that again. But whatever accomplishment you have for yourself, that will create happier, your team working in goals, right, for your teams. Like if you can have markers together as a team and reach those goals, that will create more happiness within your organization. So happiness in using social media. What is success? To have a strategy and a plan. We know that. You've been hearing that a lot. Also to understand your customers. You've been hearing that a lot as well. If you can understand what makes your customers happier, it's easier to post content. But then at the same time, customers are happier if their needs are met, right? If their needs are actually met. So how are you going to do that? Customers want to be responded to quickly. They want the shopping experience to be seamless. They don't want it to be hard. When they're buying something, they want it to be completely seamless. They're already stressed out. They have a lot of anxiety, right? And so they don't want it to be harder for them. So if you can make any step in the process easier, that's going to make them happier. Reward stakeholders. So any kind of reward system where you can help reward them for any accomplishments that they have, that can really create more happiness. And then schedule happier, more meaningful posts for yourself. I don't know what you guys are posting on social media, but are you promoting happiness? I feel like it's contagious. Like once you start doing that, other people are going to do that. Once you do that with your employees, more employees are going to do that. It's really important. And then to use digital media in a way that both increases well-being, but also creates some sort of meaning. So what kind of meaning, what kind of purpose are you trying to go for to challenge both your organization as well as your customers? So we're entering into this very weird time where we're going into the metaverse, or at least they say we are, right? So will the metaverse make us happier? Is there opportunities for the metaverse to make us happier? I believe that we still need one-on-one interactions with people, but I think the metaverse will be better than Zoom. Who wants to be on Zoom? No one wants to be Zooming anymore, right? We Zoomed a whole bunch, right? So maybe there's a way that we could actually smell something, touch something, be part of a cool world, place, right? If that's the case, then maybe we can create a happier environment. So how can we create that? Maybe thinking about shopping experiences, right? How will that relate to happiness? How can we create this metaverse, cool 3D sort of world that people could go into and have this shopping experience without having to actually go into a store? To connect with people at events and virtual spaces. So maybe you have a concert virtually, or we even have this event in this metaverse, right? So you have a chance to have kind of this hybrid virtual versus in person, but you're not in person, so I don't know. I mean, it's going to be wild, right? And it really does bring up all these ethical issues as well. So how do we tell that these people are real, that we're talking to in the metaverse? Are they going to be real? Are we going to have an avatar? Like, can I be like this cool person that I'm not really? Like, do I want to be? And do you all want to hang out with me? If I'm not Dr. Richmond, but I'm Dr. Richmond avatar? I don't know. So, but as marketers, you have the opportunity to really think about this and think about the ethical issues, but also thinking about how do we take this new tool in a new way to create good things, positive things to happen in the world. Just like social media had the opportunity to create good in the world, right? Virtual reality has the opportunity to create good in the world, but it will also have the negativity that goes with it as well. Because people in the end are just human. And humans are going to do good and bad things in the world, whether they're online or they're in person, right? And so how do we foster a place we actually want to be, a world, a community online that we want to be in the future? So fitness, meditation, counseling, healthcare, like we could be in this cool virtual space doing all of these different things. Education. Maybe my students don't want to talk to me on Zoom. I know they don't. I don't even know if they were there. I was like, hi. And they were like, oh, I'm turning my camera on. And I'm like, okay, hi to nobody. So, I mean, I don't know for sure if they were there, but what if we could make it fun, right? What's the key word with happiness that we started with at the beginning is fun, right? So if we can use fun, can we make the experience better for everyone? So I had an opportunity to do a 40-day trip by myself. I went to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and to Thailand, and I traveled, and then I did a 10-day silent retreat where I had no phone, no technology, and I did meditation, and it was very amazing. And people couldn't believe that I was able to do that because I talk a lot. You can't imagine that, but I do, right? I talk a lot, and I had silent. I didn't say anything for 10 days. And my driver, he nicknamed me Chatterbox, actually. someone who was helping driving me around Sri Lanka. He nicknamed me that. And when he dropped me off, he's like, "Are you sure you're going to be okay?" He's like, "You're not going to have a phone, and you're not going to be able to talk, and just call me if you want me to come get you." I'm like, "Nah, I think I can do this." So it was really challenging, and it was really an amazing experience, because what happens when you actually turn your mind off? I don't know. Has anyone done a silent retreat before in this room? Okay. So if you ever have a chance to do that, even if it's just for 2 or 3 days, you have a chance to disconnect from technology, and then it's a way to actually reset your brain and to think about life and everything in a new and a more profound way, which I think makes you a better person. So one of the things that I learned from this experience was that we really need to disconnect to reconnect. So even though I love technology, I love social media, I try now to take 1 day a week to disconnect. And I really do disconnect now. Like, I disconnect when I'm eating dinner with my family and friends. Like, I put the phone far away. I don't look at it. And I do the same thing, but I create moments of quiet and being fully present where I am, instead of my whole life being like that, right? And now I have a 3-year-old. Okay, at that time I had no children, which is why I was able to do it. Okay, but now I have a 3-year-old, and I think it's more important than ever. And trying to be mindful too that I am fully present in the moment, and also showcasing meaning and positivity online as well as in person. Because when you have a 3-year-old, they're mimicking everything that you're doing. Like, oh God, when she starts doing things like me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's totally, I do that. I'm like, oh, now she's doing that, right? Does anyone have young kids in here? So yeah, you know what I'm talking about then. So thinking about opportunities. Oh, another tip I wanted to give to you guys that I do that's really helpful for me and I found really helpful. The first thing that many of us do when we go to bed at night is we look at our phones. And then the first thing when we wake up in the morning is we look at our phones, right? And we even use it as our alarm. So my tip for you is get a different alarm other than your phone. Get an old school alarm. I know, it's kind of crazy, all right? And use that as your wake up call. So that's not the first thing you're looking at to turn off. And the other thing is to put your phone to charge somewhere that's really far from your bed. Okay, so you actually have to physically get up to go get the phone. If you do this, you're going to sleep better, and we know sleep is a really important piece of happiness, okay? A very, very important piece of happiness. So if you're not sleeping well, you're not going to be happy. So people need advocacy. If we can actually work together as a community to create advocacy, if we can create meaning in our life through our digital media tools, we are going to be happier both as people and also as a community. So I'm super excited about this topic of happiness, as you can tell, all right? And next year, we're actually going to be hosting the World Happiness Fest here in Miami. And happiness is sort of the overall theme, and then we're going to be having different disciplines within that. It's going to be hosted at FIU at the Biscayne Bay campus. Students, faculty, staff, as well as open to the general community. And it's a global event. There'll be a digital component as well. So if you can't attend in person, you maybe can attend digitally, okay? And it's a global event, and we're expecting thousands of attendees, and I'm very excited. So if you like this talk and you really want to learn more about happiness, keep this in mind and save the date. So thank you. I'm going to just leave a little time for questions. Thank you very much.